Okay, I am most excited to feature MJ Harris on the Chandria Stanback Show today. Thanks for being with me.
It's a complete and total honor. I was so excited about this today. I really was.
And you are a financial expert, right?
Mm-hmm, that's what they say.
Tell me about your background and how long you've been in the financial industry.
Absolutely. So I started in finance, believe it or not, working at a credit union. So going from the front desk at a credit union to being the CEO of a financial,
Oh, wow.
of a financial services company is a very big jump. But I started out in a credit union, and I knew that I wanted to help people financially. I didn't know how.
Right.
So my grandmother has had an insurance business since 1981, sold life insurance. And she said, why don't you get a life insurance license as a way to earn some extra money?
Okay.
I did it. That was about a little over 5 years ago.
Okay.
Over 5 years
Wow,
ago.
Grandma, thank you.
I'm so happy about it. And it has grown tremendously. So now I'm CEO of a company called National Care Financial Group. We hold a couple of designations, but one of them is that we are one of America's largest Black-owned financial services companies.
Wow, I'm
we have
excited
over
about
700 team members
Wow.
throughout the U.S. And
What are some of the major states that you guys service?
I would say African American hubs. So you think Chicago, D.C. metro area, Atlanta, Houston, Dallas, L.A., New Jersey. If there are brown people there,
Okay, then you're
there.
there.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah, that's our market.
I love
But
it.
Our headquarters is right here in Los Angeles.
Awesome. Okay. So CEO, that means a day doesn't go by that you're really giving advice to people every day at work and outside of work as well, right?
Absolutely. So my day revolves heavily around making sure that the National Care brand is strong. So I'm on KTLA. I do their Money Smart segment. I, constantly doing videos. So we've done well with all of that. So it's just making sure that people know about the company. I don't get to do direct one-on-one advice as much anymore because it's the nature of sort of managing the business. So that's why I'm so honored to be able to come in today.
Awesome.
But yeah, that's a lot of what I'm doing. I'm helping to sort of guide the ship and steer the ship so we can continue to help change lives.
Absolutely. So I want to talk to you today. I want to talk about advice for a particular group of people, people that are 30 plus, that have damaged credit, credit score maybe in the 400s, 500s, which is something that isn't uncommon for you. But what advice do you have people out there that are really struggling to increase their credit scores? What advice, even little small tips that you could advise?
I lived it, so the advice comes from my own life. I sold real estate in college, market crash, 2 years out of school, 2009, and I had no money. I could not pay my bills, okay? And so inevitably, credit score crashed. I was like 4 something. And the steps I took to improve my credit were literally just this simple. I contacted American Consumer Credit Counseling. This is a nonprofit service. I don't get $1 for your call.
Okay.
But they're a nonprofit service where they negotiate with your creditors, credit card companies, student loan companies. They negotiate with them to say, hey, MJ got off track. How can we get him back on track? Can we reduce the interest rates? Can we change his minimum payments to reduce it to something he can afford? And they get you back on track. So I work with them. They set up payment arrangements with all my creditors, lowered the interest rates, in some cases from like 14% to like 2 or 3%. And I was able literally to get all my debt paid off within probably less than 2 years.
Wow.
I recommend that. They're a nonprofit, and I recommend them. It's so funny because we do credit restoration within National Care, and there's a fee for us. And certainly, in working with a private company, we work very aggressively and very fast, but not everyone can afford that fee. I get that. So anybody, this sounds counterintuitive for a business person to say this, but anybody can go through American Consumer Credit Counseling, independent of how much funds they have. It's no real out-of-pocket cost to start the service, so it's kind of a no-brainer.
No-brainer, easy peasy to do and get your credit back on track.
Yeah.
Even as low, and you speak from experience, even as low as $400.
It was in the pits. My credit score was in the pits, okay?
Well, I feel like a lot of people can relate to that. And then furthermore, in your 20s and 30s is a time when you're, really at any age, but primarily then you're raising families, you want to purchase homes, then you're renting, you're paying high rent, you're paying high interest rates. It's kind of like a cycle that you really can't get out of because your credit's high, so you're getting higher interest rate, you're spending more money, which is less money that you have available to pay your debts down. So
Absolutely.
It's a vicious cycle.
I'm not going to say I'm anti-credit card, but I will say I'm averse to credit cards. So I was at Macy's the other day, I love my Macy's. So I was there, I was getting bedding for one of the bedrooms. And I'm in there, I'm getting all the stuff, and the woman at the counter says, "You're the money guy, aren't you?" I said, "I am the money guy."
Wow.
And so, because she watches KTLA during the day. And so she says, "Well, I guess I'm going to cautiously ask this, would you like an in-store credit card?" I already know what your answer is going to be. I said, no, ma'am, I don't want one. I said, you know why I don't want one? I said, because it's such a slippery slope whenever you get access to credit. Credit, they give you more, which makes you think you got more money. You really don't.
It's not your money.
It's not. And I've been down that path before. It's almost like someone who's ever been an addict. I was a credit addict, okay? And so just like any other addict can't be near the bottle or near whatever, I don't need to be near credit. I kind of keep myself away from it unless it's something that's for the business and it's managed by an accountant. I don't want to deal with it.
Well, then what advice do you have for people that, like you, are credit addicts? They, my limit was increased, or I got approved for this, and it's so easy, like especially during the holidays are coming up, it's so easy that you're going to get that question a million times.
Yes.
Would you like to open up store credit today? And how, for some people, it may be a real challenge to say, no, I don't want that credit. I know I'll get it, but I don't want it. What encouragement do you have for people during as the holidays are approaching?
I would say protect yourself from yourself. Let me say what I do. So this is a security measure. Because of the nature of business I'm in, I have to make sure my credit is always protected. So one of the things I do is I have a permanent freeze or a lock on my credit report where I have a PIN number that TransUnion, Equifax, each of them give me. So whenever I want to get new credit, I have to get the PIN number. And I can't do it in the store. I have to call before, like, let's say I want to go out and buy a car and finance it. What I would have to do literally is I have to call each of the credit bureaus or go online, type in my PIN and say, I need you all to open up my credit report for the next 24 hours, 48 hours. So I have to proactively make my credit available. I do that, A, because of cybersecurity, all that kind of stuff.
But it gives you time you must really want it if you're going to go through
all of that. If you're going to go through all this, take the 15 minutes out to do this, so I can't make impulse choices around credit. So you got to protect yourself from yourself.
Wow, I didn't even know that was something that you were able to do.
It's called a credit freeze. And all we do, most credit bureaus will do it for free. If there is a fee, maybe $5 or something like that. But it's well worth it. It's protecting yourself from yourself.
Smart, very smart. Well, I have advice for you to give to someone today, one of my viewers. Isaac says, Dear Chandria, my fiance is planning our spring 2018 wedding. I definitely want her to have whatever she wants, within reason. Originally, we agreed on 50 guests and a bridal party of 5 for a small, intimate ceremony. That number has quickly grown to 125 guests and a bridal party of 9. Granted, my fiance makes more income than I do, but I have expressed my concern about living comfortably after the wedding. We discussed starting a family right away and purchasing our first home within the first year of marriage. I understand she is caught up in the excitement of our special day, but as a leader of the household, I'm looking at the bigger picture. My recent attempts at discussing have fallen on deaf ears. Any advice?
I definitely feel for Isaac because that's a tough situation. You got your fiance who you want to spend your life with and you want to make sure she's happy, but you all have some very different paradigms around money. Here's my thing. I think that as someone, like I said, who knows what it means to overspend, who knows what it means to overspend to the point where I almost faced bankruptcy, what I can say is that one of the hardest things for me to do was to actually conceptualize what my spending looked like until I saw it on paper. So many people don't look at their credit reports, they don't look at their bank statements, they just look at the balance, make sure they got enough money to buy what they're gonna buy. But so what I would say to Isaac is, I would sit down with his fiance and write out on paper, babe, and make sure she don't feel like it's an intervention. Babe, I just want to kind of sit down and just kind of write out some of our expenses and what we're expecting. How much do we expect to have to put down on the house? How much do we expect for the first couple of years of childcare costs? How much do we expect for the wedding to cost? Put it all on paper. Okay, so we got this number here. Okay, that's about $50,000. And so for the wedding, see here, we're already at 32.
So seeing it in black and white.
Yeah, I don't know. What you think we should do? And put it in her hands to decide. Because the thing is, she doesn't want to not have sufficient resources to do these other goals. She just is not connecting the dots between these individual wedding choices and what it means for the future. So when you put it in front of folks, they would say, that's what I do with my own clients too. I would put it in front of them and I say, okay, well, this is how much you got for retirement. These are your expenses. So, what should we do?
What should we do?
And they can say, well, based on that, maybe I should cut back on this cost. And it helps.
Maybe I don't need 10 bridesmaids. Maybe I don't need to have it at this particular hall. It'll definitely. So talking, communicating would be your advice.
I would say collaborate. Don't tell her. So collaborate to figure out a plan. Don't tell her what she should be doing because she's not going to receive that. But if you collaborate with her to say, well, what can we do together and put it on paper, I guarantee you. She got sense. You wouldn't be married if she didn't have sense. And y'all going to figure out something great.
Exactly. And married or not, if you really think about it, I mean, that's great advice even if you're not planning a wedding for couples because you're merging your finances. But it's like a myth that your credit score, your credit histories merge together when you get married. Is that a myth or is that true?
So you are impacted by one another, and it depends on the state. Definitely depends on the state. Does your credit score get impacted by your spouse's credit score? So let's say they have a bad credit and you got good credit. That's not an automatic thing that happens. However, if you all are jointly on bills together, obviously their payment history can impact you. But no, your credit score is not automatically impacted. I will say this much, because we just had this question from a viewer on KTLA around debt. Do you take on your partner's debt? In a lot of states, you do end up taking on some of their debt that they may take on during the marriage, where you all can become jointly responsible for it. So I do think it's really important to be, if you do have a partner who's got really challenged credit or legal history as it relates to money, spend $150 to sit down with an attorney to say, what do we need to do to protect ourselves?
Okay. That's great advice.
Yeah.
Very great advice. Well, thank you so much for helping Isaac and for being featured on my show today. I'm excited to feature you, and it was great, really great meeting you.
It was great meeting you too. Thank you for what you're doing for the community. I mean, this is just, it's invaluable.
Thank
it's
you.
touching lives.
And then please drop your information, how, if anyone would like your services, how they can stay in contact with you.
Absolutely. So you can look me up on social media, on the web at MJ Harris Speaks. So that's just MJ Harris Speaks. That's my handle for Instagram, Facebook, my website. Just look me up, see all the great stuff, see why Oprah featured me. Yes.
And then when can we catch you on KTLA as well?
Well, we film live every other Wednesday around 3 o'clock. And then that has been syndicated through a lot of other means. So you can always see it there, or you can of course see it on my own page, on my Facebook page, which is just MJ Harris Speaks. All my videos, there are hundreds of videos. I mean, you can get lost for hours in my videos.
That's great.